Well, ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the Be Unbound podcast. Thank you so much for coming back to us and joining for another week. This week, we are joined once again by Abe Chen, and we have Victoria Grant along with us. Guys, how are we doing this week?
Hello, hello. I am chilling in Colorado Springs currently, doing one of my rounds again. So it is nice and chilly, I have to say, today. How is things in Virginia, Victoria?
Definitely not chilly. I think it's 92 and about 100% humidity today, so
Ooh,
not
100%.
quite as chill, but sticking through it.
Is it one of those
Yeah.
days where you can walk outside with an empty water bottle and come back with a full water bottle? It's so humid.
Just about. Just about. So as a born and raised Californian, I'm kind of dying, but we're just gonna hang in there a little bit longer.
Get used to the wet. Exactly.
hmm
Well, guys, I am excited today because we've been doing some Q&As, and this is one of the first ones that we'll be doing. So David and I sent out kind of a post on our various social medias to see what you guys wanted to talk about and hear about. And one of the big questions that got the most votes was talking about Ascend, specifically Ascend Year 2. So, Victoria, tell us a little bit about yourself, what you do with Unbound, and after that, if you can, just give us an overview of what Ascend is, if you will.
Yeah, absolutely. So, for those who don't know me, like Abe said, my name is Victoria, and I've been working officially with Unbound for about a year now. I handle most of the content side of things, so anything involving coaching and anything involving content, which is a big aspect of Ascend. So, creating anything that students are going to be working through, and then being able to really be hands-on with students is kind of my day-to-day world, and I could not
Mm-hmm.
love it more. But I mentioned a big part of what I do is helping facilitate and design Ascend, and so toward that end, just to kind of sum that up a little bit, Ascend is essentially our flagship program in Unbound. It is our college program, a huge heart of what we do. It's a program where we focus on professional development, on life development, on leadership development, on development as a Christian, and young adults can earn a degree at the same time. So we like to point out that much of what students do in academics and in many higher education circles and in different institutions is learn a lot of head knowledge, but that doesn't always translate to heart knowledge or to wisdom or to be actually, preparing for life itself. And so a big thing that we focus on in Ascend is who are you becoming, and not just, great, can you recite a million facts? Great. It's what are you doing with those facts and how are you applying this to your life and what difference is it actually making? Ascend is also divided up into 3 different years. So students enter in year 1, build a foundation. Year 2 builds on that, and then year 3 is the culmination.
Yeah, that's really cool. That's a really neat summary of it. And so I think what I especially liked about the way that you broke that down is that it's not just an online college program. I think especially after 2020, online college is a word that has a lot of different meanings for people. And so when you talk about that, is that you might just think, okay, well, it's just regular college classes, but online. But Ascend is really different from that. So I think that's a really neat aspect of what we do with Unbound that, it makes it totally unique from anything else that's out there.
Totally. And it's also where one thing I've seen value is where, like you said, there is you do school and then you do, try to figure out life along the way. But with Ascend, you're actually doing life. You're growing and you're getting experience, you're getting practical skills, and then you get a degree on the side.
Hmm. Yeah,
I'm gonna
and what's
pause
cool
there.
about the project-based education aspect of it is that
Hmm.
you get to do this alongside of other people, so you get to
Oh, 100%.
live
Yeah.
life and work on whatever things that you are wanting to work on, whatever you're passionate about, just in whatever you happen to be doing alongside of getting a college degree. So it's a really cool aspect of
Exactly.
that.
Hmm. Having that, like again with Ascend, one of the cool things about Ascend is that we have Ascend teams. So yes, you are not just working on uh, your degree online by yourself, stuck in your mom's basement. I know for me that was a huge thing getting into Unbound early on, but especially with Ascend, getting the opportunity to have a good support team with not only coaching but also other people who are
Hmm.
doing the program with you as a small group and bouncing off ideas and all that.
Hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, Victoria, actually, we were just talking a little bit about Ascend teams there. Could you give us a little bit more insight into what Ascend teams actually are and how that works practically?
Absolutely. Ascend teams are one of the cornerstones of the Ascend program. And they're designed such that students, come into the program, they're joining a student community and an alumni community of over 10,000 graduates. And so there's a significant, sizable group there. And so they plug into, the larger group, they plug into national events. Some might go, and plug into their into regional events and make friendships across the globe. But we also want our students to have a personal feel and to be grounded in a tight knit community as well. So every student who enters Ascend enters as part of a team. 7 to 10 students, these teams are led by a competitively selected Ascend alumnus or current student who has completed 1 to 2 years of the program already. And that leader works through coaching and leadership intensive with us. They've already completed their leadership certification with Dr. Myers and Summit Marys. So there's some significant experience there as well. And those teams can complete projects together. They set goals together. They're accountable to each other for progress, for academics. And it just provides kind of an individualized touch point that nobody is under the rug. Nobody kind of drops beneath the radar in terms of your year-to-year experience in Ascend.
Yeah, so it's making sure that despite the fact that you may not necessarily be going to a classroom, you still have other people that you are actively working together with through this program.
Yes, that is correct. And that just continues to build through years 1, 2, and 3. And so students may or may not be in the same team in year 2 that they were in year 1. There are
Mm,
leadership opportunities that open up. So year 2 students are eligible to apply to lead an Ascend year 1 team. And again, that is
mm.
competitive. That is kind of tough to get. But students can opt to lead a team, and they'll also be part of a year 2 team that's a much smaller group of students working on a specific project and specific challenges throughout the years. So they have a slightly different team experience, but still blend a lot of those same elements.
Yeah, and let's talk about that for a little bit, just getting a big picture. So I'm sure some of the people listening are Ascend students, so shout out to the fam. Um, But can you tell us a little bit more about each of the years? So a big question is we have year 2 coming up for a lot of our students. We just had a large class with year 1. So tell us briefly about what year 1 is, what the focus is, and then let's get into the big question of what year 2 looks like.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. One of the probably best way to kind of break down the differentiation rests on kind of the overall picture side of this is that year 1 students learn it, year 2 students lead it, and year 3 students lead it. So broken down into learn it, lead it. So in year 1, students are laying the foundation. And they do that through our projects. We do project education, so that's a significant aspect of what we do. So students complete projects. Students learn the basics of leadership through the signature leadership certification. They learn the basics of coaching. They attend all three of our events, and so that's kind of a big deal as well. And they take our life course. So they take the Navigate life course just to kind of build a foundation in decision making and in moving forward and developing a foundation in all the different uh, perspectives that they're using throughout the rest of Ascend as well. Then year two builds on that. So your students are expected to have not just to have learned it, but to then live it. And so they're in that kind of middle testing ground where you're really trying to work out what you have learned and make it practical and make it applicable. And so you're going to start leading that, right? You have the opportunities to lead different teams. You have opportunity to apply for internships. You might start working in the fields, the professional field I'm interested in, and gaining some experience. But you're expected to start doing something with it. You're also expected to make mistakes, right? That's part of it. You've learned the foundation, and now you're really trying to see what that means and how that applies to everyday life and to personal life and to leadership and all of that. And so projects look a little bit different in year two. There are increased expectations, increased requirements, but there's also more opportunities and ships and that sort of thing available to year two students as well. And then finally, their event track will look different too. So all students will attend in year two the same events that they did in year one, but particularly for base camp and for capstone, which are our two intensive still student events, those students will be participating in specific tracks as well. So year two that are not open and available to everyone and are much tighter and focused on what they're learning and what they're practicing.
Very cool.
Huh. Yeah, that's really cool. I had known that it was separated into years like that, but I'd never heard it explained like that. That's really neat. So it sounds like a lot of what the year one students have done is essentially they're just laying the groundwork of, hey, here is how you learn, here's how you get into these positions, here's how you can take advantage of opportunities. And year two is all about, all right, let's try to get you into these opportunities and see how you go about that, get experience, go and do, which is really cool. I love that.
Yeah.
Yeah, and so for a lot of our year one students going into year two, can you give us an example of like a practical maybe project that they will be working on, or what does that look like, on the daily, if you will?
Yeah. Yeah, so during the fall semester in year two, students are going to complete an introduction to three different fields. So in year one, it's pretty broad, it's pretty open. Students can pick a personal project, mean something to them. They learn to take an idea,
Mm.
and it needs to be a challenging idea. It's at least 2 months of work and
Yeah.
touches them in really unique ways. But they get to just pick it, right? It's pretty flexible.
Hmm.
During the
Hmm.
fall semester, we're also transitioning into preparation for the professional world as well. And so students are going to complete an introduction to the fields of business and entrepreneurship, to ministry and missions, and then to culture and the arts. And obviously, there's a lot there, but this is just going to be an introduction into that field specific for year two students. So they'll explore different
Mm.
fields, and then during the spring semester, then students will be assigned to groups that will choose a service-oriented project in one of those spheres. So you might choose a ministry and missions project. You might fund a mission trip. You might do something with your church, something that, setting up a new kids program, something like that. You might do a business project. You might help to create a nonprofit. You might help, do microgrants for a business in a third world country. Maybe you'll do a culture in the arts, project. Maybe you and your
Hmm.
will put together a video project, or maybe you'll do a documentary, or something in one of those three different fields. But it does need to be a service-oriented project so that you are taking that knowledge and doing something with it that does make a difference in the world around you.
Gotcha. Gotcha. Cool stuff.
Huh. Yeah, so I guess the question that I'm kind of wondering is that, especially if you're early on into the Ascend program and you're getting ready to go into this, what if you're not necessarily sure about what kind of project that you might want to go into? You know, I remember when I was in that stage, I was like, well, business and entrepreneurship sounds interesting, but so does going out and engaging culture and missions. Like all of those sound cool. How do I
Hmm.
pick one? How do I go about that?
Where do I start? Oh, I relate
Exactly.
strongly to that, David. I was in a similar place. Too many interests when it came to just kind of broad stuff, and then not really any direction when it came to professional life or what I wanted to do next. And that's okay. So students, like I said, work through the Navigate course. They already have a foundation of decision making. They understand different decision making models. They understand the basics of how to learn and how to reflect and how to test different things to be able to keep moving forward and not just get stuck. So they do have foundation, but they're also going to have ongoing support as figuring it out. So as a team, as staff, it's really important to us to maintain close touch points with students. And so at any,
Hmm.
I'll use you as an example, David. But say you're a student and really not sure what to do. Cool. Come talk to us at events. Schedule do a phone call. We'll talk about it. We'll talk through your unique situation. You'll also have access to your lead. So your Ascend team leader, like we said, is somebody who has been trained in coaching, been trained in mentorship, and
Hmm.
has already completed the parts of the program you're now working through. So that can be a really valuable resource
Hmm.
to have that team lead, that peer support, also just to be some different ideas off. And finally, it's okay to explore. Like that's part of it. And your group or your team might get in projects. That's okay. You might do a project and then get to the end and decide, well, like I don't want to do that with the rest of my life. But that experience you've gained
Yep.
is still invaluable. And you wouldn't
Hmm.
necessarily have reached that conclusion without doing that project. And so, the fall semester, you'll be able to explore different things and look at different fields. And then in the spring semester, pick one and work it out and continue exploring. So, I guess all that to say, there are a lot of different avenues for supporting students who really aren't sure what to do. But then at the end of the day, the experiences and the skills that you're gaining, even if you're not 100%
Hmm.
sure which direction you're going to take afterwards, are still going to be invaluable both personally and professionally.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so on the flip side, um, I may be playing slight devil's advocate here, but I
Go for
also
it.
know that as Unbound students, we have a lot of the really driven people. And hey, shout out to you guys. I mean, David here, the one who's graduated mad early. Anyways, but basically, we have people who do know what they want to do, and they kind of have a path set out in front of them. Uh, can you tell us a little bit about how year two will benefit these students who, again, aren't necessarily in the boat of like, I don't know what to do. I know what I want to do, but how is this program helping me get there? Does that make sense?
Yeah, no, that makes great. And yes, this is designed to again be individual to student and to provide the support that a student in that situation would need. So in this kind of situation, it would not be much of individual exploration as individual pursuit of different opportunities. And so
Hmm.
in that situation, we could look at specific professional opportunities with a company. We could look at leadership opportunities. We could look at
Mm-hmm.
internships. And if there's nothing we offer within Unbound, we'll also support that student in providing connections to, we have a lot of network connections of just a plethora of different professional fields and apps
Mm-hmm.
there. And so we can connect students to, myriad different opportunities professionally speaking as well. They're also going to continue, build skills even as they know where they're going. So I should have, I did mention this. Year two students are typically studying, right? So year one students are studying, year two students
Mm-hmm.
are studying. They'll be continuing to earn college credit, potentially getting in some of those upper level classes as well, depending on, whether or not they transferred into Ascend with existing credit or not. But they're going to be,
Hmm.
as they finish the year, heading towards matriculation into their final school or two, enrolling in that school. And so they are, heading toward the end of that stage of their race, kind of heading to the finish line. and our job is to support for them. So the courses that they'll be taking through life courses in addition to their active classes. And those courses are designed to continue building those skills for them, to continue providing opportunities for them, and then connecting them personally.
Hmm. Yeah, yeah. So I think the part of that excites me the most is the fact that if you're really looking for something in particular, if there's like a field or some sort of career path that you're wanting to go down specifically, there's resources out for that are built off of just connections. It's not necessarily like a super formal university placement program. We have a ton of
Yeah.
alumni in a ton of different fields that are doing a ton of different things. And so it's going to be mostly just based on like real world connections. And I know that for me personally, that pretty much every like professional opportunity that I've had that has been fruitful has come from a like personal connection, and that's been really cool. So I like the way that we've set that up to be able to give students
Yeah,
opportunities.
exactly. And even with what we say about project-based education and how this is real life projects, again, um, yeah, I think a big takeaway for me is just year two is all about taking those like basic foundations again and moving into the real world. So that doesn't necessarily mean, like, hey, let's be honest, we have a lot of schools out there with great connections. Okay. We got Ivy League schools out there who will set you up with, whoever and whoever and internships and whatnot. But I think there's a certain uniqueness to where you, like you're saying, David, you're building connections through the community, but also like you're learning to do this yourself. This is not
Mm-hmm.
like school just setting up everything for you and making sure that um, you have like this internship while you're in school. Yeah, I mean that is good, but also this is just real life with all the benefits that come with it, all the challenges that come with that as well, where you have to, again, this is real life. This is the real workforce. So you have to figure
Mm-hmm.
out different dynamics and different even communities. There's the challenges of communication, and so yeah, this is exciting in the sense that yeah, this is really going into that whole real life aspect where yeah, it's not just about say getting an internship. Yes, that's your project, that's part of it, but the point is that you are getting a head start in the real workforce or in whatever field that you're doing,
Mm-hmm.
um, and also in a way where you're supposed to be doing a lot of this yourself as a project. You don't have some, there's the Ascend leaders and the staff that's supporting you, but this is not some guidance counselor handing you your portfolio and doing everything for you. So
Mm-hmm.
yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Hmm.
Yeah, yeah. So, Victoria, I guess if you had to pick like just one or two main things that you wanted to make sure that Ascend Year One students need to know going into Year Two, whether that's like just a helpful tip or like a mindset thing, what would you tell
Hmm, I appreciate that question.
them?
I guess two things. One thing is just understanding that your experience is going to continue to build and it is going to put you in new ways and it is going to continue to help step outside of your comfort zone because that's where we grow. But you're going to do that alongside an incredible team of students who are doing the exact thing and who are seeking to grow and seeking to become who God made you to be. Um, and just that your experience will continue to build. As an example, I talked about our courses. You took Navigate in year one. In year two, you're going to be taking cultural engagement led by an apologist. You're going to be taking tactical communications led by communications experts, and you're going to be taking a financial advice class led by financial experts. And so I just use that as an example that you are to continue having a new experience even after you're in the same program going year to year to year. So that's one thing. The second thing was just to be, be excited about it. We're thrilled about it. We're so excited for year two. We sure hope you are too. So jump in with both feet, give it everything you got, and we'll be right there doing the same thing with you and supporting you along the way. And you will not regret the investment that you.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, yeah, great stuff. I know that. Hey, I'm an alumni myself, but you're just getting me excited for all of the other students that we're going to be putting through. Just like I'm excited for them. Just hearing about what they're going to be able to get to do. So that's awesome.
Yeah, and I was gonna say, David, I mean, hey, I know that I'm just gonna say this straight out for the fam. Listen, I know I work for Unbound and we're trying to explain Ascend and everything, but as a Unbound alumni, bro, I wish I got to like do Ascend like this. Like, okay.
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah. Oh,
Yeah. Where again, nothing against my Unbound experience. It was, a blast and growing, but it's cool. Again, just very much as, someone who went through the process. How things are structured now and all this. I am really excited for what we have. Yeah. All other feelings for Unbound aside, in all seriousness. So yeah, if you are going into year two, guys, shout out to you. Shout out for enduring. That's not the right word. Surviving. I don't know. Year one.
Conquering, competing.
There we go.
Triumphing.
This is why Victoria does what she does. She's encouraged. But hey, shout out to you guys. Like we said, we are excited for you going into year two, and there's a lot of exciting stuff coming up, especially with the SN program.
Yeah, absolutely. Just to go ahead and shout out anybody who's listening who isn't necessarily on the Ascend program, but is curious to learn more about it. Victoria, what are some resources that are available to people who are curious about it and want to learn more?
Yeah, visit our website, beunbound.us. It's a great place to start. We have a lot of information on there. If you have specific questions, you can request information. You can speak to one of our admissions counselors. If you request information, you will get a full ebook as well, just detailing Ascend and what that looks like, and just really digging into the details of year one. So you're a detail person like me, and you appreciate that. You can go ahead and do that. If you, again, like I said, if you're a really in-person person and you want to talk to somebody, give us a call. I'm happy to talk through any of your questions as well. But that's a great place to start.
Yeah, absolutely. And I will tack onto that if you're here watching or listening to the podcast, we have several episodes of the podcast that are also diving into some of the details of what the Ascend program entails. So be sure to check out some of the previous ones. And if you want to hear some stories from some of the students who are going through or have been through the Ascend program, then check out the YouTube channel, because Abe and our team has put together some really cool stories and videos where we talk to students to see what being Unbound has looked like practically for them. So make sure to check those out as well.
Yes, sir. That being said, hey, if you are an Unbound student listening to this, again, we love to hear your stories of how you've been able to grow, whether through learning untraditionally, doing school online, all these different things. As David and Victoria mentioned, you can always find us online. Some of you guys might be already plugged in through forums, through Facebook, through Instagram. So, hey, if you have thoughts or questions or stories, send us a message. You can find both Dave and myself on all these platforms. Shoot us a DM or whatever, and we would love to hear from you.
And so links to pretty much everything that we have talked about today will be in the description and the show notes down below. So thank you guys for watching and listening. Abe, Victoria, thank you for coming on the podcast. And to everyone listening, we will see you all next time.